Sometimes I feel like an Ottoman correspondent, traveling from one end of the old Turkish Empire in Egypt to the ancient Balkan frontier 1,000 miles away. For me, the Middle East now stretches all the way to Bosnia, to Sarajevo, where the Islamic faith, brought here by the Ottomans, is under siege. And I think the same now as I did on my previous trips to Sarajevo, that if Muslims in the Arab world feel betrayed, how much more bitter must be the anger of the Bosnian Muslims here who've been abandoned by the West. Sarajevo, both a symbol of inhumanity and of our own Western betrayal. A city once known for an assassination that started the First World War. Sarajevo sent my own father to the trenches of France. This is supposed to be one of Europe's great and civilizing cities. Now it is as broken as its people. As I've learned on my previous visits to Sarajevo, no one here is safe from the men up in these hills. Sarajevo remains mixed, with Serbs and Croats among its defenders, but most of its people are Muslims.
Svaki dan je sve gore, mislim, šta da se...
Every single day is worse and worse, and there is nothing to think about it, and we have no hope anymore.
Why is there no hope anymore?
Zašto nema više nade?
Pa ne znam, eto, izgleda da smo napušteni ovako, svi.
I'm not sure, but it seems that everyone let us down.
Will the West help us all?
Da li očekujete pomoć Zapada?
To očekujemo, već godinu dana očekujemo, ali ništa.
About 1 year we are expecting help from West.
Evo! Ajde, bježi okolo, bravo da tam čini. Uri, molim vas skupajte, nemojte se gurati ovako, jedan po jedan, majte. No, hajde Uri.
Does she wish she was still living in Yugoslavia?
Bi željela, jer smo imali život. Dok nam je Tito, život je bio. Bili smo slobodni, odali smo, kupovali smo, mi zašto dobijemo na humanitarnoj tome.
Evo, pa bila sa mnom, bolan. Ne mogu bio govor, ne mogu, hodi se na vas.
First of all, in Sarajevo, military activities have, from our assessment, decreased slightly in the last day, the last day and a half. Nonetheless, we are still seeing shelling and the exchange of small arms fire. Broken down as 20 artillery rounds, 32 mortar rounds, 9 tank rounds, and 16 anti-aircraft artillery rounds. Now,
is there a single area under the UN control which isn't under shell fire or going up in flames?
when you say under UN control, I guess you're saying that advisedly. In our areas of operations, we are seeing fighting everywhere.
Newspaper reports are no way to describe the scale of Sarajevo's tragedy. How should I write about an ordinary, insignificant day in the life of a Sarajevo hospital and describe the sights which you will see now as the routine civilian victims of the city's snipers and artillerymen arrive? This wounded Muslim soldier is waiting to have his leg amputated.
Kada sam tek saznao da će mi biti osjećanja noga, bio sam potresen, sada sam se pomirio sa sudbinom, postoje tako dobre proteze, mislim, moći se nastaviti život do bez toga.
When he says it's his destiny, does he mean that if he was to live his life again, he would still be a fighter and fight for his cause?
Pa da.
Yes.
How does his family feel about him now?
Brini, potreseni su veoma. Ali su sretni su što sam se vratio živ, postoje 20 mojih drugova, i recite mi da je 20 mojih drugova poginula. Ja sam jedan od rijetkih koji se vratio, makar i bez noge.
Does he think the West is to blame?
Da li je kriv Zapad za to?
Ne.
No.
Zapad je kriv što neće sada da pomogne. Zapad nije kriv za rat. Ali je kriv što sada ne pomaže više.
The soldier is to be fully conscious as they cut off his leg, with only a spinal injection to kill the pain. The doctors here have few medicines. There is no electricity to illuminate the operating theatres, so this man's amputation is being carried out in the daylight of a secretary's office. And how was he wounded? What exactly happened to him?
Što se desilo? Kako ste...
Išao sam sabirao malo granje, drva. I pogodio me snajper u vratu. Ovdje odao mene vamo, odolio vamo, izašao ovaj ga prostilo. Prihvatio, nije previše baš toliko.
This Muslim boy has just been shot by a Serb sniper as he played in a street. When his mother tried to protect him, the sniper shot her too. How do you account for the man who fired at the little boy we saw just now, and then at his mother when she tried to shield him? This happened while you were in the operation.
Tell me? Can you tell me?
No. But you're a doctor. You may have thought about it. You live in Sarajevo.
Yes, but I am a surgeon. I'm not psychiatrist.
But you've thought about it, haven't you?
Yes, I saw many people, many children.
But you've thought about it. You've thought about these people, haven't you?
They are not people. They are not human beings. I personally think that couldn't do on human being. We are the victim here, a really victim. From the beginning of the war, about, I don't know exactly the number, but about 200,000 people is killed, is died. And the majority of this number, they are Muslim. We must fight, we must survive also.
Snipers. Snipers everywhere. Sarajevo is synonymous with snipers.
We can try to go in first for...
Is this where the 200 people have been killed?
Yes.
I can see the problem.
Dobro jutro. Kod Huseina smo jučer preveli, rano onima skinuli smo zavese sa glave, vizijom ljude I likore.
One of badly injured patients, but still, as you can see, good looking. Fortunately enough, the bullet, that was a sniper. Bullet get into the brain and the head, just here, and pass in the middle, in between the two halves of the brain. So he was operated.
He will be able to speak and...
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a soldier or a civilian?
He is. Jeste borac? Yes, he is a soldier.
Dečko koji je operisan na našoj klinici.
Probudi se, dobro jutro.
Badly injured patient, he is not a soldier. He would like to be a soldier. As you can see, the cap is here. The army of Bosnia. He was queuing for the water supply, and the grenade shell came. 7 children was killed, and he was injured.
And where was he wounded?
Gdje je to bilo? Gdje, na kom mjestu u gradu?
U Bistriku, pivare, kod pivare.
That was yes.
Did you operate on him, though?
Oh, yes. Yes, he was immediately operated upon. He had the palsy. He couldn't move at all. Now he's improving. Again, shell, civilian, and injury was not that severe.
She was hit in the head or the arm?
Hit in the arm and in the back.
Does she remember what happened?
Sjećate li se šta se dogodilo?
Dim me je udario, tu mi je bio i muž mi je poginuo, sin mi je gore ovdje.
Her husband was killed.
A 5 sata mu noga.
It was yesterday.
What a tragedy. Does she remember? Does she have a clear memory of this?
She has. She said, well, I just remember something blowed up and then a very high light was there, and after that
she knows her husband is dead.
Yeah, she knows. This war is not the war anymore. This is just a crime against the humanity and the civilization. And if you ask me, what else could it be as the reason for the whole world to stop this bloody crime, then I have no answer for that. For me, this is more than enough for everybody in the world to do their utmost by all means to stop it immediately.
Are they doing their utmost?
Well, I do, but
the world do.
The world should do, but they don't.
Right here.
Right. Nice.
Left.
Left.
Here.
Left. Yes.
Straight ahead.
Sniper.
Okay. Right. Pass.
No.
Okay. Right.
Right.
Oh, right. We've obviously made it. The defenders of Sarajevo, most of them Muslims, like to show reporters their front line and how pitifully few are their weapons. The West maintains its arms embargo against the Bosnian government. The soldiers don't even possess the flak jackets and helmets that we reporters wear. The Serbs surrounding Sarajevo can shell it at will with the heavy artillery which they inherited from the old Serb-dominated Yugoslav army. Muslims are at the mercy of the Serbs and of the West's refusal to give them guns.
Extraordinary.
The front line is anyone's home. The Serbs are about 50 meters away.
It's not in our blood to surrender.
It's not in your blood to surrender.
Yeah.
But you've had a year of being sniped at like this.
Yeah.
How much longer can you go on?
It's a difficult question.
I mean, what kind of Bosnia will you be living in the years to come?
Well, I think in nearest future that the things here will be changed.
And what will happen?
Some political agreement.
And what does that mean? You don't know.
Yeah.
Let me turn to Mustafa. And Mustafa, I want to ask you, why are you fighting in this frontline position?
Mustafa, ako mogu da vas pitam zašto ratujete na ovoj borbenoj poziciji?
Pa vidite, kao i sami znate da smo napadnuti od agresora. Stali smo u odbranu. Borimo se za slobodnu Bosnu i Hercegovinu, za našu domovinu koju smo imali, koju želimo da imamo.
Nihad, you're 16 years old. On your Kalashnikov, I noticed you had in green a sign in Arabic. Can I see it? Can you show it to me? Can I see it? No? You won't show it to me? But I mean, I know it's from the Quran. I was going to ask you if you can read it.
Znam da je iz Kurana, pa sam te htio pitati, možeš li pročitati?
Why won't you show it to me? Why won't you show it to me?
Zašto nećeš da mi pokažeš?
Okay. But I was going to ask you whether you feel that God protects you when you're fighting.
Htio sam da te pitam, no osjećaš da te Bog, da će te rade naš Bog zaštititi kad se boriš?
Yeah. He does. Do you pray to God to protect you?
Da li se moliš Bogu da te zaštiti?
You believe in God very strongly.
Ali rekao sam da svi koji su okrvavili ruke, njih će stići kazna. Stići i kazna kad tad u njihovom životu neće moći mirno spavati. Baš zbog toga što su meni pokvarili djetinjstvo, njima mladost. Svima nama su ubacili ono u ruke što ne bi nikad pomislio da ću uzeti prije u životu. Baš zbog toga će istići kazna, a Bosna će biti ko nekad.
Scaffolding props up the shell-damaged 16th century walls of Sarajevo's great mosque. Muslims have been in Bosnia for 400 years. Christian Slavs who converted under Turkish rule, they pray as Muslims, although their language is Serbo-Croatian, not Arabic.
وإلى أرواح آله وأولاده وأزواجه وأصحابه وأتباعه.
Everyone knows what happened to Bosnian Muslims in terms of concentration camps, in terms of rape, in terms of destruction of villages, cities, in terms of refugees from their homes. And despite all this, we are punished twice. The other punishment is that the Western community, or if you like, we can say the world community, or the world conscience, or European community, giving us some hopes that they will help us as victims. They betrayed us, and we believed them, and now they are betraying themselves. And they don't want to help us, but they don't allow us ourselves to help ourselves, because it is illogical, it is immoral, it is a cry
to hold small people who are striving for survival and giving us these arguments that we don't want to lift them embargo because if we do that, the more killing will happen. And the killing is happening every day, every day.
What can Muslims do to defend themselves?
We can do because we are fighting for our survival. And we don't ask for your soldiers to come to defend us. We don't ask that. We don't ask Europe or Christians to come and to save the Muslims. We ask only one simple thing. Please, give us our right. And our right is to defend ourselves. And you don't do that.
Chetnik is only executors. And you are our really enemy because from the beginning you don't put us a chance to defend ourselves. You only give the chance to Chetnik to kill us day by the day.
Chetnik's the Serbian forces.
To take more territory.
It's crusade war.
By Christians, you mean?
By Christians, yes.
Why
it was 1,000 years ago, it was the same here, then from the Germany, from the French, from Italy.
We feel that we are not wanted in Europe, and we feel that the Christian Europe hate us because we are Muslims. That's our feeling. You see, they are killing me here because I am a Muslim. The only sin, and the only sin that, and the only guilt we are accused of is that we are Muslims.
Much of the real Sarajevo, the spirit of liberal secular life in which Muslims and Christians live together, lies here, beneath the ground, in old graves which have been reopened to take new bodies. Gravediggers are among the only employees in Sarajevo who still have a full-time job. Gravediggers and journalists. We reporters also catalogue this tragedy. But to what effect, I ask myself? Ethnic cleansing. How easily we reporters accepted this phrase. The Muslims who lived in these devastated homes were raped and murdered by the Serbs, not because they were ethnically different from their Serb attackers, but because the Serbs wanted the Muslims' land, and they got it. Our reports of their plunder made no difference. A year ago, the Independent sent me into Serbian Bosnia to search for a village in which Muslims still lived. I found a village called Chela. It had a pretty mosque and a friendly imam who lived in a cottage next door. The Serbs promised to protect them. Now I was going back to see them again, accompanied by 2 watchful Serb policemen.
I'm sure it's the mosque. I went in there before. Keep going, keep going. This I'm sure. Yes, I remember going in here before. This is the mosque. Right. I see the problem here, then. Can you ask the policeman what happened to this mosque? I mean, last time I was here, I walked inside it. It was ordinary. What happened, Kathy? Can you ask him?
Onda što se dogodilo tu za džamiju, za sve?
It's no picture. Okay, all right.
They'll take your phone away if you
All
film
right.
again, he said.
Part of a school book.
I knew what had happened. How long would these Muslims put up with this sort of violence? How can I forget the place where I work, the Middle East? When Muslims there hit out at the West, we say we don't understand them. Mindless terrorism is the phrase we like to use about them. And every time I see things like this, I wonder what the Muslim world has in store for us. Maybe my reports should always end with the same phrase, watch out.
Well, no more mosque.
It had been blown up with explosives. No one would say who did it, and there wasn't any point in asking the Serb police. And here was the cottage in which the Muslim imam and his family had given me coffee just a year ago. They had disappeared, ethnically cleansed. Only a few days ago. No one would say where they were. But I recognized them from the old family snapshots. These were the people who gave me coffee a year ago. To this day, I don't know where they are. The end of the line for the Muslims of Bosnia. Despite our millions of words, despite the pictures of all our television colleagues, have we journalists made the slightest difference to this tragedy? These men and women were driven out of their homes this morning. Muslims, dispossessed, homeless, betrayed.
Why did they throw the Muslims out of Bosnia? Why have they done this to you?
Zašto mislite da Srbi su prisilili vas van?
A čuj, Bože moj, moram. Šta ja? Kako je? Kad moraš, moraš. Hajde, ostavi sve svoje i hajde. Eto kako.
Ne znamo. Očekujemo od međunarodne zajednice da će nas preuzeti, pa kako nam Bog da i međunarodna zajednica, pa eto. Idemo, ne znamo gdje ni kuda.
Can I ask you, why are you leaving Bosnia?
Mogu kazat, a je mi drago, krenuta to kognica nije. Znači kaže, pa hvala Bogu, onda djecama zovu da nas prijatelj napusti, pa jedno čekam da dojdem. Kad se vidim da se radi, iz vatre žive, iz kutarstva. Hvala Bogu. Hvala Bogu.
In the Middle East, as well as Bosnia, I've spent 17 years writing about these people. It would be nice to think the world listened to us journalists occasionally, but governments have grown used to ignoring our reports. If you still believe in the New World Order, you shouldn't be watching this. Governments want us to think about peace in the Middle East. They'd rather we never saw this, never wrote about it. They'd rather we shut up.
Sadika, this is you? Yeah.
Sadika, yes.
This is you.
Yes.
And this?
Muž moj, yes.
Your husband?
Umro, mrtav.
He's dead. And this here is?
Jetrva moja.
This is your mother here who's sitting behind you now.
Yes.
What do you think when you look back at these days now?
I što vi osjećate kad vi gledate ovakve slike sada?
Šta? Sami znate, presudite sami. Ja vas molim, nemojte me više pitati. Izvinjavam se, ja nemam više snage.
For these Muslims, this is their moment of despair, their day of catastrophe. An hour ago, they were Bosnian Muslims in their own homes. Now they are refugees.
Oh.
Just a little local train to take them north, to a refugee camp, another country, to another world, to be scattered to the ends of the earth. This is supposed to be one of Europe's great and civilizing cities. Now it is as broken as its people. As I've learned on my previous visits to Sarajevo, no one here is safe from the men up in these hills. Sarajevo remains mixed, with Serbs and Croats among its defenders, but most of its people are Muslims.
Svaki dan je sve gore, a mislim šta da se...
Every single day is worse and worse, and there is nothing to think about it, and we have no hope anymore.
Why is there no hope anymore?
Zašto nema više nade?
Pa ne znam, eto, izgleda da smo napušteni ovako, svi.
I'm not sure, but it seems that everyone let us.
Sometimes I feel like an Ottoman correspondent, traveling from one end of the old Turkish Empire in Egypt to the ancient Balkan frontier 1,000 miles away. For me, the Middle East now stretches all the way to Bosnia, to Sarajevo, where the Islamic faith, brought here by the Ottomans, is under siege. And I think the same now as I did on my previous trips to Sarajevo, that if Muslims in the Arab world feel betrayed, how much more bitter must be the anger of the Bosnian Muslims here who've been abandoned by the West. Sarajevo, both a symbol of inhumanity and of our own Western betrayal. A city once known for an assassination that started the First World War. Sarajevo sent my own father to the trenches of France.
First of all, in Sarajevo, military activities have, from our assessment, decreased slightly in the last day and a half. Nonetheless, we are still seeing shelling and the exchange of small arms fire, broken down as 20 artillery rounds, 32 mortar rounds, 9 tank rounds, and 16 anti-aircraft artillery rounds. Now,
is there a single area under the UN control which isn't under shell fire or going up in flames?
When you say under UN control, I guess you're saying that advisedly. In our areas of operations, we are seeing fighting everywhere.
Down.
Will the West help at all?
Da li očekujete pomoć Zapada?
To očekujemo.
Jedino.
Već godinu dana očekujemo, ali ništa.
About 1 year we are expecting help from West.
Evo! Ajde, bježi okolo, pravo za tam, ajde. Urijed, molim vas, stupajte, ne morate se gurati ovako, jedan po jedan, majte. Da, ajde, urijed.
Does she wish she was still living in Yugoslavia?
Bi željela, jer smo imali život. Dok nam je Tito, život je bio. Bili smo slobodni, odali smo, kupovali smo, mi sad što dobijemo na humanitarnoj to.
Evo, pa bila sa mnom, bola, ne mogu da ne mogu,